close and asked about her collection. She didn't look up, just shifted slightly away. My husband stayed by the door, sensing she needed space. The file said she'd been in the system since she was 3, bouncing between 5 different homes in 4 years. During her first month of visits, she barely spoke. She answered direct questions with 1 or 2 words, but never volunteered information. The social worker told us this was progress. With other potential families, she wouldn't speak at all. The day she walked through the house with her backpack clenched to her chest. When we showed her bedroom, the one we'd spent weeks painting and decorating, she just nodded and asked, "How long can I stay here?" My heart cracked right open. That first night, I found her sleeping on the floor beside her perfectly made bed. When I asked why, she whispered, "Easier to pack my time to go." My husband and I cried in the hallway, trying not to let her hear. Within 2 weeks, she established a routine. Every night, she packed all her clothes into her backpack, ready to leave. Every morning, she'd unpack just wasn't being trouble. The worst moment came when she spilled juice on our cream-colored couch. Her face went white with fear. Before we could react, she grabbed her backpack and was standing by the front door, waiting to be taken back to the social worker. My husband knelt down and showed her how easily it cleaned up, but she didn't really believe him. Our first Christmas together, she seemed confused by the present. She opened each one cautiously, as if expecting a trick. When she realized they were actually for her, she tried to hide how overwhelmed she felt. That night, I found her sleeping on her bedroom floor, surrounded by unwrapped gifts, like she was guarding them. After about 10 months, things started to shift. She began leaving a few clothes in her dresser overnight. She asked for seconds at dinner once. Small thing. My sister keeps announcing bad news every of my life. I've had the day my sister was diagnosed with cancer. My family hated celebrating my birthday, and they would often ignore my birthday. When I turned 16, my friends decided to throw a party to celebrate my birthday. My sister wasn't invited, but decided to show up and started telling everyone she had another cancer scare. When I graduated high school, my sister announced that her engagement had ended. My family decided to cancel the graduation party because my sister needed comfort. I finally spoke to my parents and told them how awful it made me feel. They apologized and told me they would throw me a graduation. And announced she had a miscarriage. Party died as the focus went to her. Her husband told me I should make non-family leave because my sister needed family, so I left. It took 2 hours to notice, and when they did, they were all asking what the hell I thought I was doing leaving like that. And my sister cried down the phone to me, saying that she that makes you cringe really hard now. When I was 13, my family moved from Texas to this tiny town in Ontario, Canada. I was super nervous about starting over at a new school, so I came up with what I thought was the most genius plan ever. On my first day, I walked into homeroom and introduced myself with the thickest, most ridiculous fake British accent you've ever heard. I told everyone even though I had never even been on a plane before. The accent was absolutely terrible, like a mix of Harry Potter and some random YouTube videos I'd watched the night before, but somehow it actually worked at first. All the kids thought I was so cool and word. They kept asking me to say random words just to hear my accent. I got invited to birthday parties, added to group chats, and even asked to sleepovers. Teachers loved having me share my class. I had never gotten this much attention before in my entire life, and honestly, it was addictive. But keeping up the lie was exhausting. I had to remember to use the accent everywhere, in the hallways, talking to teachers, even when neighbors saw me outside. I would literally pretend to talk to my nan on the phone just to practice in public. Every night, I'd stay up Googling British slang and watching videos trying to sound more natural. Then things got really bad. Halfway through the year, this new girl named Ella joined our class. She was sweet and funny and had the most beautiful, natural British accent I'd ever heard. She was actually my heart sank when I realized what this meant. Of course, our English teacher immediately paired us together for a big project. British students. I spent the entire week panicking, trying to figure out how to avoid working with her. During our first group meeting at the library, Ella asked casually, "So, what part of England are you from again?" I completely froze. My brain went blank. I stammered something about, near Londonish Birminghamshire. Ella just blinked at me and said, "You mean the West Midlands?" That night, I heard Ella tell me some something seemed off about. The next day at lunch, someone asked me to pronounce aluminium to settle pardon. I panicked. The entire cafeteria was dead silent. Just like that, my whole fake identity. Word spread through the school like wildfire. Within hours, everyone knew I was a fraud. My so-called friends stopped talking. Teachers looked at me with disappointment. Kids started calling me the fake. Every day, let me transfer schools or move back to Texas. They were I needed to face the consequences. The rest of 8th grade and all of 9th grade, with everyone knowing I was a liar.
My friend traumatized her. It was so funny we got away with it. In college, I was throwing an end-of-year party at my house and suddenly felt the need to throw up. Both of the bathrooms were taken, so as a last resort, I ran outside to the bushes. When I was finally done and looked up, I see my neighbor's window open. I went over to the window and saw some guy with a travel bag stuffing everything valuable he could fit inside it. It took me a minute to realize what I was seeing. It hit me. I ran back upstairs, telling everyone there was someone robbing the house next door. A few girls called police. Was already too late. Some of them picked some brooms, one of them even getting a roll of duct tape, and all ran across the house next door. The burglar sees them, tries to leap through the same window. By then, it was already too late because the mob of drunk guys tackled him to the ground and hit him with their brooms. He just laid there absolutely terrified out of his mind when the rest of the guys saw what was going on. Happened because after someone brought a giant trash bag outside and we fit his entire body inside of it, he was wrapped up like a Christmas present with his head sticking out while we continued to tie him up with the entire rope. He just sat there mumbling, he'll never come back. The police were nowhere in sight, and one guy has the idea to go get more stuff to tie him up with. At this point, he already looked like a human caterpillar. They left to the dollar store to get some rubber bands. 10 minutes later, they came back with no bands on an entire rope. They weren't going to hurt him, so I went up to see if everyone else inside was all right and checked to see when the cops were coming. 5 down to a lamppost, leaving him hanging there. Everybody was still drunk, and the police response time was already so unbelievably slow that by the time they finally got there, 15 minutes later, we had already brought our speakers outside and kept partying around the human caterpillar. I think someone even offered him some beer, but he couldn't drink it upside down. A few of our neighbors came outside to tell us to turn the noise down, but after seeing the guy and having us explain who he was, they laughed and were thankful we caught a burglar. The cops came and were desperately trying to seem serious about the whole situation, but we could see them hiding their smile. I found out what my daughter was doing, and it broke me. My daughter started asking to bring to school and would always finish it. I honestly thought she was just growing. Later, she come home starving, and I knew something was up. Her birthday was that week, and the whole day, parents were dropping her friends off until a kid I'd never seen show up. And after I asked where his parents were, he said he walked because his mom wouldn't give him a ride. Then my daughter ran up and hugged him and said he was her friend. He was probably the skinniest kid I've ever seen. Very clearly came from her
What's the worst part about being a quadruplet? I once matched with a guy on Tinder. We met at a bar, and he froze the second I walked in. He had already dated one of my sisters and ghosted her, and he couldn't even figure out which one of us it was. So I leaned in and said, "Careful, you're running out of lives. We've got 3 more." The entire bar was heard and laughed so hard he literally grabbed his coat and ran.
Men, what's something you admit is tougher for women? Gift giving. When Christmas rolled around, I unwrapped a luxury cologne mixed with rotting leather, but I recognized the brand name and knew it cost at least $800. So I flashed my best Hollywood smile. Now she knew me too. Laura Daly, next holiday season arrives. With, you guessed it, a refill. Fast forward to our 10th Christmas. My 10th round of torture and another award-winning performance. This time,
Last time is
she casually mentioned the original. Thank you. I just exposed myself as I set her down. Her beautiful wife looked at me. Wait, you want that? She gave me a big smile and said, "You way more than any stupid cologne." And just like that, my fake Hollywood smile turned into a real one. I found out what my daughter was doing. My daughter started asking for more food and would always finish it. I honestly thought she was just growing, but later she'd come home starving, and I knew something was up. Her birthday was that week, and the whole parents were dropping her friends off until a kid I'd never seen showed up. He was alone, and after I asked where his parents were, he said he walked because his mom wouldn't give him a ride. Then my daughter ran up and hugged him and said he was her friend. He was probably the skinniest kid I've ever seen that wore down clothes and very clearly came from a poor family.
Come on, guys, come on. Come here.
My daughter wasn't eating food. snacks from the pantry, some juice boxes, and some of her brother's clothes that didn't fit him anymore. She hugged him and I drove him home. What shocked me the most was how long
Come here, guys. Please give me video, like, comment, subscribe.
But I honestly had no idea what was about to happen. I hadn't really heard anything about it, and when we got there, I could tell everyone was getting ready for something. The entire theater was involved, and everyone was cheering. I thought that was it. But then we got to that scene. I saw everybody take their phones out to start recording, and he stood up. And as soon as we said those words, it happened. Absolutely everyone in the theater stood up and threw their popcorn in the air, threw their drinks, and started screaming as loud as they could. I couldn't see or hear anything, and they started to form a literal mosh pit behind me. Every guy in the theater was looking at each other and yelling and started falling over the rows to join. However, someone got pushed directly behind me, and everybody was beating down with them. Now I was on the ground in front of all of them, but before I could get up, I felt a sharp pain in the middle of my face. I tried to scream, but really couldn't do anything. The lights turned on, and police officers were making for me. They made everyone go home, but I had to go to the hospital. Turns out someone hit themselves directly onto the center of my face, shattering my nose. Now I can barely breathe and have to get surgery tomorrow. Got Excel tests. What did you do? In ninth grade, I got the teacher everybody wanted for biology, except one morning our entire class was getting chewed out by our assistant principal for being late on grading. We also knew she had lost her sister the week before.
Guys,
A few minutes into teaching, she started explaining something about her final
let's
exam. But usually did it every time she turned around. But
see.
this time, she saw them. She usually wouldn't have cared. She was something about her, but she walked over and asked to see it. The kid shook his head without saying anything, so she basically reached into his pocket and grabbed the note. She started reading it in front of the class and said, I left it in the garbage bin in room 12. It's all there with them, and stopped herself before reading the rest out loud. She looked down at the boy, clearly having read something bad, and didn't know what to say. Her face was pale, and not knowing what to do, she grabbed them both and literally yanked them out of the room. We all sat there confused, wondering what that note said. There were police at our school, and they asked our whole row to come to the office. They questioned everybody about it, but nobody knew anything, and by the time they let us go, they had sent everybody home. We later found out that the note said there was a key to the office in that garbage bin, along with a loaded gun. Both of them denied writing it and said they didn't know who it was for, so they decided to fire our teacher for creating a school-wide panic and expelled our entire school. Wasn't every other child that he thought was the leadership? While I was growing up, I did know but my mom didn't have any other choice, so I remembered, and I
Mano to bala.
everything so I was happy. It got so sad someday.
Mali ka po na ba?
Have fun with me. And when I got home, my mom and I rented a small basement apartment together, and we had to leave because we were except when we dropped it somewhere so that we could I kept her up because I couldn't stop myself from talking. My mom had really bad nights. And I thought she just wanted to call me back. I thought she just wanted to call and wanted to hug me tight, so I didn't want to tell her at first because I didn't want to be alone. I didn't tell her. What is your biggest hangover first? My husband divorced me because we found out during my checkup and screening test that our baby will be normal and that he will have Down syndrome. I can remember the horror in my husband's face when we went back home. He told me that we should get rid of it and try again. And I told him that I will never do that and it is our baby. He threatened me with divorce if I don't do it. I stood my ground and said I'd rather have a divorce rather than have my son to have a father like him. We went through divorce during my first trimester. It was very difficult, but my family was there to support. Way before I gave birth, he already got a new girl, and he sent me a text saying that their baby is because my baby and will protect him. Fast forward to giving birth, my son came out. He was 100%. My doctor told me that it is common to get I cried so hard because my faith was tested. After told me that my ex's new baby was unfortunately diagnosed at birth with trisomy 21 Down syndrome. My ex was furious and left the delivery room, and he never claimed the baby as his. Have you ever seen a farm that grows buds instead of vegetables? In rural China, farmers are harvesting giant potatoes from plants. The colorful straw has been carefully collected insects like these buds aren't nuts, they're food. In many parts of China, people eat cicadas as a delicacy. Boiled, stir-fried. Some are even cooked in China.
Dili man,
Cicadas are high
video.
in protein and And when I got home, I would keep going. My mom and I lived in a small basement apartment together in the same room. She got home exhausted from work, but when she laid down to fall asleep, she couldn't do it. I kept her up because I couldn't stop myself from coughing, but she couldn't sleep. I knew she still loved me. My mom she'd come over and start to hug me really hard. She'd squeeze me so tight I literally couldn't even breathe, and I thought she just wanted to calm me down. I thought she just loved me.
आप ये पढ़ ले आप नहीं और साथ में भी है
I just tell her I loved her a lot, and after I said this, she'd cry really hard
अरे आप
and
ये
go back to sleep. Now that I have
है
my
कि
own
चल
child,
रहा
I
है
realize how hard it is to
लाइफ चल रहा है मोबाइल से चला रहा
can't even breathe, and now I know what was happening. My mom would get so frustrated that I woke her up that she'd try and squeeze me so I couldn't breathe. I was cheering for my brother, and his jealous girlfriend slapped me in front of everyone. My brother and I, we rarely fight and always support football games, and showed up for him all. Every time he had the ball or excited, everyone in the stands was loud, but I guess I stood out. In front of me, a girl was her mother. This is cheering for my friend. I tried to ignore it. She then said she beat the girl up, that only she had the right to cheer for him. Until the game, his team won, and I ran down to congratulate him. I hugged him, and suddenly got shoved. She slapped me. People gasped. My brother stepped between us. Then we called her babe. Stunned. I touched his arm, confused, and she screamed, "Get your hands off my boyfriend, you slime! I'll gut you like a pig." I froze. My brother said, "That's my sister." Her mood flipped. She apologized, said she didn't mean it. My brother pulled her aside, went home. I told our parents. They were furious. He came home later, said they broke up. He brought food to apologize. He was insane. And left in an ambulance. My friends were telling me I had to go to the movie that night because it was about to be the craziest. I honestly had no idea what was about to happen. I hadn't really heard anything about it, and when we got there, I could tell everyone was getting ready for something. The entire theater everybody take their phones out to start recording, and even stood up. And as soon as we said those two words, it happened. Absolutely everyone in the theater stood up and threw their phones in the air, threw their drinks, and started screaming as loud as they could. I couldn't theater was pushing each other. I tried to scream, but literally couldn't do anything. The lights turned on, and police officers were but I had to go to the hospital. Turns out I can breathe and have to get surgery tomorrow. I went to the I honestly had no idea what was about to happen. I hadn't really heard anything about it, and when we got there, I could tell everyone was getting ready for something. The entire theater was full, and everyone was cheering. I thought that was it. We got to the movie. I saw everybody take their phones out to start recording, and even stood up. And as soon as he said those two words, it happened. Absolutely everyone in the theater stood up and threw their popcorn in the air, threw their drinks, and started screaming as loud as they could. I couldn't see or hear anything, and they started to form a literal mosh pit behind me. Started falling over the roads into my got pushed directly behind me. Literally couldn't do anything. The lights turned on and police officers waited. They made everyone go home, but I had to go. Turns out someone had stepped directly onto the center of my face and completely shattered my nose. Now I can barely breathe and have to get surgery tomorrow.
Drivers, what's your craziest experience? I picked up a girl from a mall. She was
Fine,
absolutely
yeah.
wasted and apologized for being so drunk when she died. She asked me if instead of bringing her home, I could just drive around the city with the windows down. It was my first ride of the night, so I thought, what the hell? I was worried she might throw up, so I took out my mom's bag just in case. But no, she just did the hand out the window airplane. After a few minutes, she asked me if I had ever thought about dying. I replied, yeah, I guess I have. That's when she told me she had cancer. It was in her brain, and they caught it way too late to start giving her the treatment. My heart dropped. She told me she was dying.
Hello?
She was going to be okay. She was at the bar
Hello?
celebrating way hard. Since all her coworkers were missing. She said she told them she
Hello?
was on her way, just didn't tell them that the way was heaven. She gave me
Hello?
a hug. I dropped it all. I cried the whole way.
Hello? अम्मी सर दफर दा फोन है आहो हेलो गाइस वो तो बात
ओके लाइव चल रहा है
चंड मारी
हाँ
मुझे
बंदूक नहीं
काटे नहीं बना
वो कुछ पता नहीं मैं ड्रेस रीडिंग उसको ला दूंगा
एक मिनट सर एक मिनट किधर करते ही नहीं गड़ी चाह
After 5 minutes, we were caught and questioned. Once again, we just told them our fictional Dave told us to come back there. This time, the guards took radio
सर
verification
दफर
way
क्या
more
रहे फोन
seriously
करे
until they got an actual. Turns out Dave was
चीनी
gave us a weird
अजय
look.
होन
Security guards
काल
asked if
जल्दी
we
किसी
were with
देखी
him, and we said yes. He
एनो
took
काट
us
दे
aside
और
and
की
asked
करना
what we were doing, and we said we just loved the film.
नमाज नहीं पढ़नी
We loved that two young
पढ़
kids
ला
visited his job and took us all around the
पीछे
studio.
नहीं
We
आना
went on different shows.
रोजी
We
डाटा
asked to come back and be
कितना
Did you ever actually try something on me? But one night I was at a